Humanity, I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. I'm so Ray. My videos are about love, infinity, creation, energy, because we're infinite love, we're infinite energy, we're infinite creation. This is exactly who we are. We are the human race. We are the human race. This is exactly who we are. We are the human race. Okay. So this is a video in a series of videos about infinities and freedoms and who we are, our infinite eternal nature as a species because of the Republic of Planet Earth, our constitution. Okay, the Republic of Planet Earth's constitution, who we are, the citizens of the Republic of Planet Earth, the citizenry of the Republic of Planet Earth, the defenders of the Republic of Planet Earth, the leaders of the Republic of Planet Earth, who we are, the human race, compass and sandals, this infinite virtuous cycle between compass and sandals, identity and true self, purpose, time and energy, action, why, how, flow, true north and destination, and sundial. You see, we open our eyes, open our hearts, open our minds, stare at the sun, and open the portal and build the bridge. And evolve into infinity, who we are, because love is the highest energy of creation. And we are the biological expression of that. This is exactly who we are. We are the human race. So let's talk about today's freedom. Today's freedoms, this video is about singularities freedoms. It's a beautiful freedom. It's a beautiful freedom. Singularities freedoms. Okay, so let's talk about it. Okay, without further ado. Okay, so singularities freedoms. What are these freedoms? Okay, so it's our freedom to create singularities and to be singularities, because we ourselves are singularities. You see, we are the human heartbeat. This is exactly who we are. So the human heartbeat, the human heart is a singularity. In fact, all our organs and glands are singularities of infinity of creation. You see, this is exactly who we are. We're the infinite love of creation. This is who we are, consciousness and self-awareness. This is our nature. This is precisely what our nature is. Okay? So the human heart, generates the electromagnetic field, right? Because of the heartbeat, the pulse of life, the pulse of creation. And this electromagnetic field is spherical energy. We're light spherical beings. This is who we are. This is our nature. So this is spherical energy surrounding the human body. And the space structure of this sphere, of this spherical energy, is us, the body that we see. And because of that, the pulse of life, the pulse of creation, we are conscious and self-aware. So we're intelligent, we're sentient, we think, right? Feel, we have emotions. And what's the highest energy that we can create with the heart, which is what gives us life in the first place? The energy of love is the highest energy of creation. Love is the flow of infinity. See, we are the highest energy of creation, the human heart. So it's incredible who we are. And we're this biological expression of infinity and a way of a singularity, because you see, it's a singularity because it's a pulse. You see, it's a pulse of life, the pulse of creation, the human heart. So that's our singular. You see, freedoms, singularity freedom. So we have the singularity of the heart. So that's a freedom right there, because the human heartbeat, the pulse of life, the pulse of creation. And then that leads to what? All the other singularities in the human body, the organs and the glands. So the singularity of the mind, right? So we are conscious and self-aware, and we're capable of thinking and being aware of everything, and having an imagination, memories, and creating primary elements, right? Because of the love of our hearts. Our primary elements, just like the central sun where we're from, at the epicenter, creates elements that we consume as our building blocks of life. We drink them, we eat them, we breathe them, right? So we can sustain the body, our organism. So it's the same ourselves. We have our own singularity at epicenter, which is our human heart. And this singularity allows us to love with the highest energy. And when we love with the highest energy, we manifest our free will. We create our primary elements as compass. Because compass is a sphere who we are, energy. See, purposeful sphere of energy. So these are our elements. You see, identity and true self. So we know our infinite nature, purpose, because we have free will. We choose our destinies, our destinations, right? Time and energy, because we're infinite energy of creation. Love is energy, so we flow with love is a flow of infinity. So we infinitely flow with our energy, time and energy. And that time is that perception of our consciousness of awareness through our senses as we move through space and everything that exists. It's a perception. And then the perception of time, right? And we're masters of this primary element that we create. We live in the here and now, these here and now freedoms, right? And then action. So the proof of to manifest free will is purposeful daily action. So we take purposeful daily action with our thoughts, with our consciousness, with our self-awareness, with our actions, with our hands, with everything, with our bodies, right? That's another primary element. And then that leads to why-how, which is the key that unlocks the infinite structure of our human DNA, right? Who we are as infinite eternal creators. Why is that? It's infinity. And how is how you go about infinity. So it's manifesting infinity, you see, with our minds, with our consciousness, who we are, our nature. Because love is the key that unlocks our DNA structure. Because it's the highest energy of creation. Because this is exactly who we are. We're the human race. These are our primary elements, you see. Just like the sun creates its own elements and the earth creates its own elements, we ourselves create our own elements. And then true north is that, right? Our abilities to choose our paths, our ways, our journeys, right? Our course of action because of our choices and our free will, our consent, our consciousness, our self-awareness, right? So, you see, this is precisely who we are. You see, this is precisely who we are, you know. So, this is precisely who we are. So, you see, and these are the singularity that allows us to do these. And then destinations, right? Destination freedoms. Our primary element, we can manifest our destinations, right? By making our dreams come true, our purpose come true, right? With our consciousness and self-awareness, our thoughts, our intelligence, we just manifest that. All because of singularity freedoms, because of the singularity of the human heart. That gives us a singularity of the mind, right? The singularity of the lungs. So oxygen in, oxygen out into the body through the heart, right? Distributing the oxygen across the body, which is oxygen is this fuel that we consume, this building block of life that we use to power our body so we can have infinite energy output and create infinities with our consciousness and self-awareness, which is what we have evolved into. Okay, so this is what singularities freedom is. And because we have these, then that leads to our infinite awareness and consciousness, right? So we can tap into the space structure of the vacuum, space structure of infinity, space structure of singularity, space structure of creation itself, space and vacuum structures, right? So we have space and vacuum freedom. So because of we can then create our own singularities ourselves with energy like we used to in the distant past, you know, and we can do it now because I have provided humanity the blueprints of it. So we can all have our infinite energy freedoms because we have infinite energy freedoms, you know, 0-point energy systems over unity systems, propulsion systems that are powered by singularities devices, spherical devices that have an infinite output of energy because the singularity is a singular point where all points meet. It's a central point that generates this energy because of the space structure of the spherical nature of the devices that generate the singularity in the first place. Just like the sun has its own singularity that generates all the energy that creates infinities, right? Same with us. So we can do the same. We can create our own singularities and create infinities ourselves, which is what we used to do in the past. So our origin story, which I'm happy to share again with you. So because of singularities freedoms, is a fundamental freedom, you see. It is a fundamental freedom because all freedoms are fundamental, but this one is an important, really important one. All important, but this one, yeah, you want to make emphasis. Singularities freedoms, right? Singularities freedoms is our infinite ability to be ourselves, be singularities of infinity and creation and eternities, co-creators of infinite eternities, infinite eternal curse of sundials encompasses infinite virtuous cycle. You see, all infinities are singularities because it's this cycle that leads to infinity and it generates a singularity of its own by the duality principles of its own interaction because of polarity and electromagnetism, because it is our nature. So as sundials encompass ourselves, this virtuous cycle of infinity comes together and we ourselves are infinity in that way. So you see, all the virtuous cycles are singularities themselves. Because infinity leads to singularities, you see, and that's an infinite cycle that fits forever. See, it's a virtuous cycle of infinity coming together with singularities, and they are a singularity themselves because these infinite singularities, right? Singularity freedom, so that it leads to infinity, these virtuous cycles of creation, right? Everything, electrogravitics and telemetry, same, because the nature of the sphere, who we are, is spherical in nature. Consciousness and self-awareness is virtuous cycle of infinity coming together as one. You see, the duality principles, two elements together as one, creating polarization, and they just lead to the singularity of infinity because virtuous cycles, right, of self-reinforcing mechanisms. It's just our nature. This is who we are. This is our nature, right? Consciousness, self-awareness, electrogravitics and telemetry, consciousness, infinity and singularities, space and vacuum, compass and sundial. This is our nature, heritage and legacy, right? This is precisely who we are. Creator and creation, creation and creator. You see, all these come together and they lead to the singularity, this infinity cycle that goes, which is precisely what this is, a polarization of electromagnetism that leads to electrogravitics and telemetry, which is infinity itself, this singularity at the epicenter of it, that creates energy, right? Everything that creates everything. And at the density of our existence, biological density of scale, who we are, the human race, our DNA, it's consciousness and self-awareness. You see together, consciousness and self-awareness into infinity. So it's all these singularities being one. You see, they become one, infinity, as a singularity, as a result of their interaction with these duality principles. Because you need to generate that self-reinforcing mechanism to infinity. In our case, as compass and sundials, we always stare at the sun, right? And we evolve into infinity because we channel the energy of the sun through us with the love of our hearts, and then we manifest our primary elements of compass as a spherical energy that we are. You see? So it's this nature and heritage and legacy. You see, our ancient past, our ancient heritage, rich heritage and legacy. And they together come together, and heritage becomes legacy, and legacy becomes heritage, and it goes like that to infinity. This singularity generates as a result of it. Singularities freedoms, right? And space and vacuum, that generates singularities themselves. Infinite energy outputs, 0 point over unity systems, propulsion, all these different things, you see? They all come as a result of that interaction that leads to infinity because of the singularity nature of duality principles. And this is why singularity freedoms is so important, because it's essentially that. You see, it's our nature. We are a singularity ourselves. We are a singularity ourselves because we are the human heartbeat. And the human heartbeat is a pulse of life, the pulse of creation. Is that pulse is a singularity. You see, an infinite cycle of energy. The human heartbeat, pulse of life, the pulse of creation. Right? And that generates the electromagnetic field because of polarity. Because of the pulse. The pulse generates this polarity. And that polarity is electromagnetic in nature, and it generates this electromagnetic field around the human body, this spherical energy, because we're light spherical energy. We're light spherical beings, is our nature. Just like the sun, spherical energy, we're the same, but at the biological scale. So essentially what that means is that because of it, then that singularity generates all the other infinity singularities of a human body, the space structure of a sphere of energy, which is our organs, our glands, everything. We have 7 glands, in the human body. And they're fundamental because we call it the endocrine system or endocrine system, right? So that what that is precisely that. You see all these glands coming as a singularity, interacting and creating this infinite energy, this resonance, right? The pineal gland, the pituitary gland, right? All these different glands around across the body. And that's exactly what they do, is infinite energy, right? Infinite energy, infinite consciousness, infinite self-awareness, and the organs, right? The singularity of the lungs as well, that contraction, oxygen in, oxygen out, right? Right? Breathing itself is a singularity. Oxygen in, uh, uh, carbon dioxide out, right? And it's an infinite cycle, it's an infinite singularity, it never ends. The mind itself, right? Self-awareness is a singularity, being able knowing that we exist, consciousness and self-awareness. We're conscious that we exist, so that's self-awareness, and it's an infinite cycle of singularities, you see. So Singularities Freedoms is fundamental because it's a building block of existing space and vacuum coming together and generating singularities because of the space structure of the vacuum, the space structure of space, and the space structure of the sphere, the space vacuum structure of the sphere, and the nature of these interactions that come together, meeting requirements like spherical vacuum thresholds that are met. And when these spherical vacuum thresholds are met, a singularity is formed within a sphere because it's spherical in nature. And that is a singularity that leads to what? Infinite energy output. In our case, because we're already infinite energy, because of the human heartbeat, right? The resonance, it leads to another infinite singularity of thought, which is consciousness and self-awareness. And we can create universes with it, which is what we do. Because this is our nature, this is who we are. We have evolved into this as a species. With the infinite eternal biology of evolution. See, this is precisely who we are. Singularities of organs and glands, the resonance of them. We're energy from the sun. We channel the energy from the sun, the building blocks of life. And with that, we power ourselves so we can be conscious and aware and use that energy, the love of our hearts, to create with our minds, our primary elements as compass. Because their DNA is the most ancient DNA in existence. Right, so I did say that I was going to talk a little bit about our origin story as a species. Okay. So let's do that. Let's talk about our origin story as a species. Okay. Let's talk about that. I think it's fundamental. I think it's a fundamental thing to know. So we are at the epicenter of creation. That's precisely where we are. That's where our coordinate, our location in the cosmos, right? Our species comes from the epicenter of the universe, this universe that we inhabit, this cosmos. Okay. This is where we come from. This is where we come from the epicenter. The very center, the brightest point where all energy was originated from. Okay, all energy was originated from where we are, because we're the center of the sphere, which is the universe. Okay, this is what our species is. We come from the very epicenter of it. Our sun is the central sun, the sun of suns, the first sun. This is our sun, and we come from here. Okay, our planet is at the very epicenter of this universe. So all the energy, all the galaxies, everything that is created that we can see out there in the skies, all that light came from our sun. Our sun is this infinitely ancient sun that has gone through an infinite number of cycles of light and creation. Okay? And with the species at the epicenter of that, right? Right there, our planet is right there. Okay, so I'm going to share our origin story as a species. So we're a very remarkable species. We're an incredible species. The human race is an amazing species, an incredible species. So we originally did not come from planet Earth. We came from the proximity of planet Earth, a nearby star system. Okay, that's also in the periphery, right? In the epicenter of the central sun. Not as close to Earth is to the central sun, but around it, very close from the epicenter. The first galaxy, this is the first galaxy that formed in the epicenter of the universe from the first singularity, right? The first sun. So we were this race that an infinite number of cycles ago formed in a star system nearby us here on Earth. So essentially, because we are the very epicenter of creation, right? We are the very epicenter of creation. We had an infinite number of cycles to evolve into light spherical energy, what we are, to become one with the creator. Creation creates creators and creators create creation. This is infinite cycle of creation. Creation leads to creators, creators create creations, and more creation creates creators, and it goes like that to infinity. This singularity, this infinity, this virtuous cycle of infinity, right? And why were we able to become infinite and turn into this incredible species that evolved into light spherical energy, who we are, the human race? Because we were the first one, we're the most ancient, because we were at the epicenter, you see. So our star system was the first star system that formed biological life that could evolve into light spherical energy, consciousness and self-awareness, and the ability to love like we do with our human heart. At the very epicenter of the universe, our central sun, in the proximity of it. Okay? Very close. A planet very close to this location, very close to the sun. So we were able to evolve and have an infinite number of cycles to evolve into infinity in a very peaceful and harmonious way, without interruptions of any sort. Because we were the first, everything came after us, so everything was younger. And because we were the first life form, we were ahead of everyone else that formed in different galaxies and different star systems, distant from us. Okay? And because we were able to do that, we had this natural ability for our DNA to evolve into infinity. Because there was no one impeding us, or nothing impeding our development, our evolution, which is a natural process of universes. All the species that originate at the epicenter of a universe, because this is not the only universe, there's an infinite number of universes, because infinity is creation itself, the creator, light spherical energy, and the like the sun's light spherical energy. So the epicenter, the singularity. So in all universes, the species that originates in the proximity of the central sun is the one that has all the advantages to evolve into infinity in the first place. Because that's just the nature of how creation operates and works, right? Everything comes after, right? Because you need one thing first, and then from that thing, everything originates, right? It's the origin. It's the beginning, is how everything starts. You always need a beginning. And we were the first, we were the beginning, we were the origin, the genesis of creation in the universe, because we were the epicenter. So everything originated after us, all the other galaxies, all the other systems. So we were the highest density as well, because we were at the brightest point, right? The central location. And from the center, you can go anywhere faster than anyone else, because you're at the epicenter. And because all the energy originated from our central sun out into the space structure of a sphere, which is a universe, and that meant spherical vacuum threshold, all the energy that generated singularities at the epicenter of those to create new galaxies. And then the singularities of those galaxies at the epicenter, the central sun of those galaxies, then generated light, right, within that galaxy, that led to the formation of star systems within those galaxies at different scales and densities, right? And then life forms emerge around planets in those star systems. We happen to be this the closest to the proximity of the first sun. So this is why we're the central rays, at the epicenter, the first rays that emerge into light spherical energy, who we are, infinite consciousness and self-awareness. Okay? So this is exactly who we are. And because of it, we evolve into what we have evolved. So we had an infinite number of cycles to evolve into consciousness and self-awareness the way we are. And in fact, we developed ourselves to a level in which we were able to harness the energy of infinity itself, like the energy of the central sun, and create singularities ourselves with space and vacuum freedoms, because we were masters of space and vacuum structures. So we understood, because of our consciousness of awareness and our evolution, the infinite nature of the central sun and the singularity, so we could mimic the central sun and use that energy and tap into the filaments, because you see, all the other suns originate from the energy of the central sun, right? The first sun, the sun of suns. So what that means is that all the other suns are connected to the central sun, because the singularities were the central point where all points meet, the singular point where all points meet, meaning all the other singularities, all the epicenters of all the other galaxies, of all the other star systems within the galaxies, are connected to our central sun in way of filaments, because of the space structure of the vacuum, and the space structure of space, and the space structure and space vacuum structures, and infinity, how it works, how everything works within the structure of space in existence in the universe. So our sun is the central sun that is connected to all the other galaxies and all the other systems. And we understood this, and we could tap into this energy. We could tap into this source of infinite energy, this singular, and create singularities, so singularities freedoms. So we tap into these singularities, and by tapping into these singularities, we will be able to create universes, galaxies ourselves, because we were mimicking the sun, our central sun, that was doing that in the first place. So we became this incredible species that created and developed the technologies, space and vacuum technologies and singularity technologies, spherical devices and spherical technologies, to generate singularities that would create galaxies and form galaxies. A lot of the galaxies that are out there were created by our civilization. So we became the central species, you see, because our species created galaxies, right? Because it was the first one, so there was still a space structure to be filled within the sphere of the universe. So we were able, after an infinite number of cycles, to be able to do that, because we learned from the galaxies that were formed by the natural process of the light from the sun going out. And we saw that, and we learned, and we were able to ourselves do it. And we did that for an infinite number of cycles, because we were the central species, you see, the most advanced species in the whole universe, because we were the first one. And our civilization, we developed light spherical spaceships that would allow us to go instantly to any point in the universe, to the creations of our galaxies, to create new galaxies, or just to see the life forms that originated as a result of our creations. And to also the galaxies that were created prior to our ability to be able to create galaxies ourselves. So you see, we became this central species, that the central consciousness and self-awareness at a biological scale in our universe. We're very famous, and we're very well known in the history of the universe, because we were the first one, the human race. See, and this happened a very long time ago. So what happened was that in the infinite wisdom of our ancestors, they realized that we were the first species, and no one could really rival us. We got bored of doing the same thing to infinity, creating galaxies and doing these. So we wanted to go further. We wanted to be able to go even to a higher level of evolution of consciousness and self-awareness. So, and love and all these. So what we realized is that in order for us to be able to achieve that, we needed to evolve. And in order for us to evolve to a higher level, we needed to get closer to the proximity of the central sun, even closer than where we originated from, in a nearby star system around planet Earth that was very close to the epicenter in a way, that allows us to emerge in the first place, and to form as these organisms in the DNA that form into light spherical energy, light spherical beings, who we are, the human species, capable of consciousness of awareness, to tap into the vacuum structures of space and to create singularities and galaxies ourselves and planets and all that, right? Amazing, incredible species. So we did that, and then we realized that we wanted to go even higher because we knew that there must be other universes, because we realized that we were tapping into this energy, which is the central energy of the sun of the universe. But when we noticed immediately, right after an infinite number, after creating so many galaxies, that this energy must come from somewhere else, right? And that is infinity. So we knew that there must be an infinite number of universes, just like ours. And we realized that at the epicenter of each of these universes, there must be as intelligent species like us at the same level of consciousness that can meet our space structure density, so we can engage with them and meet them, because we never met someone at our own level prior to that level. So we wanted to do that. We wanted to meet civilizations at our own level of consciousness and self-awareness and advancement, technological development, and consciousness and self-awareness and civilization wise. So we realized that in order for us to do that, there must be a way to do that, because we were contained within our universe and we were kind of like, we wanted to go beyond. So what we did was we realized that we needed to become more conscious, more aware, more evolved. And the way to do that was to evolve our DNA structure. But the only way that we could do that is to getting closer to the central sun, so we can become the central sun. Because the central sun is getting this energy source, right? And this energy source comes from infinity itself, from an infinite number of universes that form this space structure at the tension of the surface of infinity itself, that when it gets filled, that singularity releases the energy, and that energy creates a new universe, a new singularity. And it goes like that to infinity, right? And we were one of those singularities, one of those infinities, one of these universes, one of these eternities. But we wanted to be bigger. We wanted to join all these other civilizations that already were our level or higher, because we were just creating life forms everywhere because of our galaxies, and we wanted, to evolve. We wanted more, you see. So what we did is that we realized that we needed to get closer to the sun, even closer. So what we did, we created planet Earth. So we created planet Earth is a spaceship. We created this beautiful spaceship called planet Earth. Okay, and essentially what we did is that we created this spaceship that could host our organism, our DNA structure, to the closest proximity possible for our DNA to be sustained at the closest point to the central sun of existence of our universe. Way closer than we were when we originated from, as nearby star. That's why it's a nearby star system to Earth, right, where we originally come from. I'll talk about it later. So, right, so what we did, we created Spaceship Earth, and then we tidal locked it to the central sun. So our species can be hosted within planet Earth, the spaceship, so we can evolve into infinity. Because by being closer, our DNA, after an infinite number of cycles, because no one could rival us, right? No one can stop us from evolving to that level, because there was no one in this universe capable of doing so. So we knew that we had all the time that we needed, all the cycles required for us to evolve into infinity. We just needed to be closer to the central sun. So our DNA would have the time to, after an infinite number of cycles, evolve into the energy of the sun itself. So we can be more conscious and self-aware. And ourselves create universes, or go to other universes and meet other species from other universes by becoming more conscious and self-aware, capable of going there. So that was the objective. Okay, an infinite number of cycles ago, so many billions of years ago, we created planet Earth, and we anchored to planet Earth, to the sun, to the central sun of the universe, our universe, which we are the central species of, right? The central race. Okay, so what happened was that we actually achieved that. After an infinite number of cycles, we were able to evolve into infinity. So prior to our evolution, remember, we were highly technologically advanced, but we weren't as advanced as we are now. But at the time, what happened was that we were masters of space and vacuum structures, right? and singularities. So we created technologies that were outside our us. They were technologies that we created, tools, devices, right? That we would master with our consciousness and self-awareness. And these tools were light spherical spaceships that would allow us to go everywhere in the universe, and abilities, technologies to create singularities, to form galaxies and life forms and create planets. So we were doing this level, right, of civilization. This was the ability that we had. And the way we did it, we encoded all the technology within our DNA. So no one can use our technology. So also by only humans. And the other thing is that because in that way, when you encode all your technologies of creation and everything, all your civilization in your DNA, which is what we have done, you have this ability to, with your thoughts and consciousness and mind, control the technologies, because you're in sync with them. The technologies are one with you. They become sentient because they're, you kind of like guide them with your thoughts and your mind, because of the DNA connectivity, the synchronicity that we have did. And that's why our DNA is so ancient, that within our DNA, because we did that, all the memories of our heritage and legacy as a species is stored within our DNA structure, everything. This is why I know our origin story, because I'm a human and I can tap into our DNA structure. And the way we do that is with love, the highest energy of creation, because love is the key that unlocks our DNA structure. It's the highest energy. So you need to have a high energy input and output to be able to tap into our DNA structures and remember who we are, because we forgot who we are. And I'm going to get to that level. This is our origin story as a species, okay? So we were able to create these technologies, right? This incredible tech, these tools to create galaxies, to traverse crossing the universe. Everything instantly amazing. Planets, we created planet Earth with those technologies because of our knowledge, and everything was encoded in our DNA. So what we did, and there is remnants of our civilization all over the universe. Everyone knows who we are because we're the central race of this universe. So then we wanted to go further, right, as the creators. So we created planet Earth and encoded, remember, everything, planet Earth is a spaceship. So it's our technology, so it's encoded with our DNA. So only DNA human DNA structure forms, life forms can inhabit planet Earth, because it's what can host us, right? Because we created this planet spaceship to be closest to the proximity of the central sun, so we can evolve into infinity, because that was the objective, to go beyond this universe, right? So that's what exactly we did, and we stay here for billions and billions and billions of years, evolving into whatever we became, which is what we are now. So what happened is that because we were encoding everything, right? Our history, our memories, everything as a species in our DNA structure. Technology is everything, so we can manifest them and use them with our thoughts and our consciousness, right? So what ended up happening was that after an infinite number of billions of years, we evolved because we were closer to the proximity of the central sun. So our eyes adjusted and our bodies adjusted so we can use the energy of the sun through our eyes, because we were closer, and channel that energy through our heart and create the highest energy of creation. Because we were harvesting, we were eating, consuming that. Our building blocks of life was eating, drinking, breathing, all these elements that came from the sun in the first place, the central sun that created everything, that created us as a species in the first place, that allowed us to create that spaceship planet, which is planet Earth, that allowed us to evolve to this level today, and to make galaxies, to all the things, move at the speed of cosmos instantly across the universe, everywhere, right? Because we were the central species, still are. So that's amazing, right? Remarkable. So because we encoded everything in our DNA, when we evolved. So the dreams of our ancestors, of our predecessors, were achieved, were realized, but at a level of infinity beyond their greatest thinking and imagination, right? And I'm gonna get to that because this is our origin story as a species. So what happened was that after an infinite number of cycles, we evolved, right? And what we ended up becoming is suns ourselves. We became suns, capable of creating, just like the sun and the energy of the sun creates all the light that goes into the cosmos and creates these galaxies, right? Because we were in the close proximity of the central sun, what we ended up becoming, and in terms of evolution, was that because we channeled the energy of creation, because remember, that energy comes from somewhere, right? The infinities that we wanted to go to in the first place, that created this universe in the first place, that created the singularity of the central sun, so created everything and it created us. So that's where we wanted to go to, which is the energy that was coming from the central sun in the first place. So by feeding ourselves into an infinite number of cycles of evolution with the energy of the sun through our eyes, through our food, through our breathing, through our drinking, our DNA structure evolved into a level of consciousness in which we ourselves became the central sun. And with our consciousness and self-awareness, we would create universes now, central suns, singularities of universes that would create an infinite number of life forms within the universes that we were creating with our consciousness and self-awareness. Beyond the expectation, because we became the greatest creators that we could even imagine, because our biology became that. In fact, because we were encoding everything into our DNA, our spaceships, everything, our technologies, so we use them with our thoughts and consciousness, because that was the nature of what we were doing. When we evolved, we became the technology. That's why with our thoughts and consciousness, because before we were creating with devices that we would manage with our thoughts, right? And we'll create galaxies and stuff and move across and stuff. But in the end, we ended up becoming the technology ourselves. Our DNA evolved into a merge of consciousness, of thought, and technology. So with our thoughts and our energy, because we were consuming the energy of the central sun that created everything, our thoughts were so powerful and are so powerful that we could create universes with our thoughts and infinities and consciousness without having to use technology. And our DNA is all this is encoded in our DNA, and we can manifest. That's why we can create primary elements as singularities that we are. So we became that an incredible species. So beyond the expectation of our ancestors, because our ancestors wanted to meet other species and go beyond, but what they didn't realize is that they were evolving into creating universes with their consciousness and self-awareness beyond the technology that we were using, because we weren't harvesting the energy. We weren't harnessing the energy of the central sun into devices. We were the energy of the central sun because we were channeling it through us. And with our consciousness, we evolved into using that energy to create that, using that energy of central creation, the building blocks, right? To create the consciousness and the awareness with our thoughts and our minds and create those universes that would have actual matter, material universes, physical universes that would have life forms and would form just like we formed. So we could replicate ourselves with our consciousness and create ourselves and everything with our consciousness and our self-awareness. That's what we became, because we are bigger form now than the sun, because the sun was our food. We were eating the sun for food, right? And we still are today, because this is the central sun. We breathe the sun, we drink the sun, we eat the sun. That's what we do, because all these elements come from the sun in the end and we consume them. So that's what we became as a species. Incredible species. So we entered this, it was a new stage of evolution, so we didn't really understand it, because it was a new stage. It was beyond what we could, the wildest dreams that we had as a species, because we were used to tech, gadgets and devices, tools, and we didn't have those anymore. We became the thing. So, for example, to give you an example, we're not only creating universes, we ourselves, as light spherical energy, would teleport anywhere. We became the spaceship ourselves, right? That level. So, the highest level that we could imagine, right? At that level of consciousness. So, what happened after an infinite number of cycles, right? Remember, at this stage, we've never encountered opposition, because we were the first species. We had an infinite number of time to evolve. We never really had a polarity, resistance, right? We were just evolving into infinity. Created planet Earth and all these things and evolving to what we evolved. But what happened was that after an infinite number of cycles of creating universes with life forms in them, with epicenters and central suns and all these, what happened was that we didn't really know our full nature because we were just creating, we were learning, right, of a new level of consciousness and self-awareness. We were just creating and creating and creating and creating as sundials and compass as singularities, creating to infinity. And what we did, we created an infinite number of universes and existences and eternities. And all those existences and all these eternities had life forms in them that we didn't necessarily know because we were creating an infinite number of realities. So when you're creating an infinite number of realities, you just create. You're not thinking about the life forms per se that form in those existences at the level of densities of those universes with our thoughts and our consciousness, because we were just creating as this super biological species that we have become at the epicenter of the central sun, right? And we were just still creating. We just focused on creating for an infinite number of cycles. And what happened was that after a long time, those life forms that we created, right, with our consciousness and our self-awareness and our thoughts, showed up. Remember that the dream of our ancestors was to meet species beyond our universe, right? That was the first reason why they did this in the first place, and harness more energy in that. And we did all that. So, but remember, we were learning about ourselves because we were new into this level of evolution of infinity. So we just created with our instincts. But that we were also unconscious of the full power and nature of our infinity as a nature, as our DNA, what we became as infinite eternal creators, as co-creators of infinite eternities. So eventually what happened was that these life forms that we weren't unnecessarily aware of, that we created, showed up right outside spaceship planet Earth, because we were still on planet Earth just evolving into infinity with consciousness and thoughts and doing all this stuff, creating universes, because we were just so busy, because we were just learning, right? An infinite number of things to learn, right? But what happened was that eventually, after a while, these life forms showed up because we created them. So they were trying to understand the source of creation, who created them in the first place, from distant universes, right, that we were creating with our consciousness and self-awareness, because we were harnessing the energy of the sun through us by being sundials, because we became this super species beyond our wildest dreams of our forefathers when they created this spaceship planet. So when we did that, then they showed up, but they weren't like us. Their natures were different. They didn't have the same level of density as us, as space structure, and they didn't necessarily have the same views and beliefs as we did. But they were able to get to us, right? The reason why they were able to get to Earth in the first place, to meet their maker, was because prior to us coming to spaceship planet Earth and evolving into what we have evolved at that stage,